going to give their evaluation of the speech. Evaluation speeches are usually between 2 and 3 minutes. And we're going to welcome up our first evaluator, which is Stephen. Did you evaluate for Mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I mentioned during my table topic speech, when I referred to the resume building, that was one of the main points of Mark's speech that I really paid attention to. How he had, not only how he talked about the resume, but an example of one in the PowerPoint here. That was very effective, outlining how a resume should look, why it looks that way, and highlighting his talents. Throughout the speech, he talked about the importance of applying to multiple jobs, having qualifications and skills that match the job you're applying for, and I couldn't agree more. I thought he had very good use of eye contact throughout the speech, and he had good use of PowerPoints, good pitch in his voice, which are all very important when doing interviewing. So I thought it was impressive that he mentioned how well others thought his interview skills were in his speech, because it showed right away. I really couldn't think of anything to improve upon. Maybe speaking about a bad resume, how that looks compared to a good one. I know most of us in here have done a resume before, and it'd be much easier to compare and contrast when there's a really good one and a really bad one. I'd imagine all of ours are somewhere in the middle to good, and otherwise middle to bad. So having a good one and a bad one might do well in reinforcing the points even further. I like the cover letter as well. I feel that cover letters are often overlooked when going on job interviews and conducting interviews of that nature. So I think having a cover letter example only reinforced what is needed when you want to get a good job. And also a thank you card. Often people forget to provide a thank you card at the end of an interview. So I thought mentioning that was effective as well. Overall, it was a very good speech. I liked how you referred back to the PowerPoint while not looking at it directly. At times, it's often easy to get caught up with your PowerPoint presentation and read from it slide for slide. So I like how you had the information there, but still maintain good eye contact, refer to the PowerPoint when need be, and also did a good job of changing the slides. I'm not sure how you did it. I wasn't really thinking about it while I was evaluating you. How was the slides changing so quickly? I don't really see them walking over or anything, like you looked at it and it would just change on its own. So I thought it was very effective. I liked the presentation, and hopefully you recorded it so I could show others. So I think it would be very good for those to see. And if not, I'll try my best to recreate it or explain it to them, because I feel like it's a valuable lesson that everyone should learn. Thank you.
Great job. And now we're going to welcome up our second evaluator, which is Troy. And he evaluated for an speech.
Okay, like Kayla said, I evaluated Aaron's speech. Now, Aaron completed his 10th speech from his Competent Communicator book, which is also his final book. So for those of you that are new, this is something that we worked through as Toastmasters, and I'm actually new too, but I was in Toastmasters in Arizona. So just for your knowledge. Now, this topic that Aaron covered was to inspire the audience. So that's why he used the topic of doing service. So overall, I feel like I was inspired, from what Aaron had told us, and I really enjoyed his use of stories, and a lot of those were emotionally charged stories. And for a topic like this, when you're inspiring, you really want to play out to those types of emotions, especially in stories, and different types of words that you can also throw into your speech as well. Now, none of us are professional speakers, and that's why we're here. At least that's why I'm here. So, just a couple areas of improvement, or maybe eye contact with the audience. looking around. And I know you had mentioned that that's something you do want to work on, which I'm glad you're trying to focus on that, because I know I do as well. So maybe a little bit more on that. Just try and scan the room and try and look at everyone. Let's see what else. And maybe a couple more emotionally charged words for this type of speech. But overall, I was really moved to go out and to volunteer or to do something not for myself but for our fellow man and to help each other out. And so I was really inspired. I feel like you accomplished the goal of the speech, and you did a fantastic job. So.
So awesome. So those were our 2 evaluators, and now I get to talk. So some of the highlights from this meeting that I really liked is for Mark's speech, when he talked about, in the beginning, when he started the speech, he opened it up with questions and really got the audience involved, and I thought that was one thing in particular that was really awesome. And the 2 things that were the best advice that I thought that he gave was to ask your interviewer questions. That is such a big deal. When you ask your interviewer questions, they love you. And to send thank you cards, because that is what separates you. Everyone asks questions, so you got to take it to the next step. Send that thank you card and make that connection. So that was awesome. Good job. And for Aaron's speech, doing service, I really liked the way that he tells stories and the way that he backs up the points and things that he wants to say by telling a story and really getting us involved. And one of my favorite places to volunteer on campus is Safe Rides. It is so much fun to stay up all night with your friends and drive around town and pick people up, and it really does help our school out so much. It really is fun. And it's also very nice to hear about opportunities in the area. So I believe that everyone is passionate about something. Some people just have to find out what it is. And people don't volunteer because they haven't found that organization to do it with that they can feel passionate about. And so it's really awesome to hear about just the different things that happen in our community. Sacramento is such a big city, and volunteering is really important for that. And Aaron finished his Competent Communicator Manual, which is a super big deal. Having given 10 speeches in front of a group like this, that's really awesome, and Aaron's improvement is so dramatic. It's really great, and we're really proud of you. As far as the evaluators go, evaluations are a really important part of our club, and we'd like this to be a place that's positive where people can come and get feedback without feeling overwhelmed or intimidated. I really like that Stephen said a lot of positive things about Mark's speech. So it's said through studies or whatever that we only remember a fraction of what we hear, but we remember a lot of what we say. And so he really coming in and reiterating those points, especially since Stephen evaluated Mark's speech, and then he did the table topic about Mark's speech too. And so that kind of listening and interacting is like a really good thought process that he participated in tonight, and that's really cool. And I really appreciated that Troy, when he came up here to do his evaluation, he spoke about the workbook. And what Aaron did by completing his manual is really important. And when you become a Toastmaster, you get a workbook, and it's really great to track your progress on there. And the way that he incorporated positive things and then ways to improve was really inspiring in itself to be better. And for table topics, I really like that Thomas used questions from the speeches that were given. That was really cool, actually. I like that a lot because it helps people to think about what was said instead of just being a blank listener. So overall, this really was a great meeting. It's nice to have 2 speakers and to really fill up the time. I know we didn't have an agenda, which is kind of a bummer, but next week we will have one. It's a lot easier to follow the schedule if we have one. But with that, I'm really happy that you guys came, and I'm going to welcome back up our Toastmaster, Stephen.